Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Forsaken. I am your humble keeper I'm sorry, wrong game. I'm humble God this evening for these preceding evenings. A GM of many games is God in that sense. With that in mind, we have a lovely episode, but before we get into this, please, God Killer, introduce yourself to the lovely audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Humna. I use any and all pronouns. And today I am playing Omera, who uses they pronouns, who is traveling with ghosts, apparently, according to last time. But let's see if perhaps we can change that from being true. And with that, I will pass it over to God.
God here on the Ghost Cruise, apparently. But with that in mind, before we start this lovely episode of ours, a bit of a content warnings in case you missed those bad boys at the beginning of the episode. This episode in particular contains fantasy violence, gore, blood, familial struggles, drug abuse, severe weather, romance, and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosities, depictions of experimentation, references to epidemics and diseases, trauma, imperialism, classism, depictions of war, and imprisonment. If any of these don't float your boat, there is a plethora of wonderful content out there for you to enjoy. Also, if you want to follow either me or this lovely God Killer I have at my side, you can type !cast into the lovely chat here, and you will find links to where you can find us across the interwebs. But with that in mind, Godkiller, are we ready to proceed and get back home?
As ready as I'll ever be.
We love to see it. With that, we see the camera slowly shift downwards. It has been a couple of weeks. High seas is a rough place, but when you're trying to do that secretly and through certain back roads and places, it takes a bit longer to get where you're going. In this case, home. At this moment, we see you, Godkiller Omera, as the camera slowly pans down on the boat. It's currently riding at this moment ever so silently within the early hours of the morning. You can see that the sun is not quite up. It's very much getting up to dawn at this moment. And you are currently on one of these sort of back roads, like riverways of Mali. A place that many people don't commercially use because it's a bit dangerous due to the shallow depths of the water. Doesn't really make too much sense to bring a ship here if you don't have to. And especially more dangerous in your case because the ship is full of gold, which just immediately weighs this bad boy down. As we slowly pan over to Omera, what is going through your mind?
Omera is sitting in one side of this ship, probably a corner nestled away from the activity that might be going on with the rest of the crew members. Their hair is messy, and there are, I think, more botanicals that have been tied into it. I think Omera right now is actually braiding a long vine into it that they had found. It is a grounding exercise, or an attempt at one anyway, because Rare Mind is currently replaying that conversation with Aiden over and over again, trying to make sense of what it is that Ray is about to walk into. This was never the plan. This was never something that Mary even thought about being possible for their life. Thinking that a revolution? And one in which Aiden plans on sacrificing his life for what? Why? It all just seems so... Omera wants to think hopeless, but doesn't want to think hopeless because, well, hope is perhaps all we have left. And I think it's these waves of these thoughts crashing onto the shore of Rare Mind, replaying Aiden calling himself a ghost, talking about the gold as a powder keg that will ignite the Empire, and wondering what it is exactly that they should do about it all, because somehow they've found themselves caught in the middle of it, and they're not really convinced that they can just find a way out.
A lot of mixed emotions, and it doesn't particularly help that you're headed home. I think on top of all this, the other concern that is probably playing through your mind is, were you legally declared dead? It's been a couple months, really, since anybody's ever heard from you. I think usually when somebody's gone this long, they're declared dead, so it's a matter of... I think maybe your brother as well is at the back of your mind, on top of everything that's going on. And as you're sort of thinking to yourself, walking about the ship, trying to console your thoughts about fighting something you have devoted yourself to, you notice next to the not the mast, the sort of where the steering is for the ship, you see Gisea is by themselves, currently feet kicked up, as they are kind of off the railing there, as they have a bit of their magic going to make sure the ship is on course, as some sort of invisible force is steering the ship. But for the most part, they seem utterly focused on writing in a journal that they have. Nothing of like a tome, nothing of that nature, just a regular book, as they are just writing whatever they may be writing.
And Gisea, sitting there writing, is not really somebody that Omera necessarily wants to be speaking to. I mean, after all, the last time that we spent together, she wasn't exactly friendly or open to talking to me, but I think right now, Gisea is the person that seems to know Aiden best. And since Aiden won't really talk, or at least Omera doesn't feel comfortable asking certain questions, Ray gets up, walks over to where Gisea is writing in this journal, and will not sit down, but will just hover a pace or two away. May I interrupt?
You already have seemed to do that, so please continue. As you see, they're still writing, still looking down, and sort of very much maybe dividing their attention at this point between writing wherever they really want to write and talking to you.
Okay. Omera will unceremoniously take that one step forward and then sit in front of Gisea, very clearly in a position so that they cannot read what's written in the journal, like not sitting beside Gisea on purpose to sort of allow her that privacy of whatever it might be, because I'm sure Gisea doesn't want to tell me. And will prop up their knees and lean their hands on their knees and their chin resting on their arms. I assume Aiden has told you, probably made the plan with you of what's going to happen. Is that true?
He has indeed, due to the fact that I'm very vital to the next steps of this so-called plan.
I don't doubt that. So you know that he plans to not survive the ordeal.
You see they stop for a moment before they continue. I do understand the young lad's death wish. Something very common within this cause that many people have dedicated their lives to. At one point in my life, I had the very same view before it changed.
What made it change?
I had a daughter. When you have a child, things tend to... Yes, they are still alive. Partially why I'm writing in this journal. It is family tradition that the maternal, and preferably also the paternal of the father side, write their wisdom down in a book to give on to the next generation when we die.
And so now you plan to live for your daughter?
It is a hope, but a pointless one at that.
Why pointless?
There is a multitude of reasons why it is pointless. The father is out of the picture, never really wanted a daughter, and my daughter, I do not know where they are. I do know they are being re-educated among the masses of the Empire. So, at some days it feels very pointless to write in this book, to even infer wisdom to someone who I may never see again, or will even understand why I do the things I do.
You don't think that one day you might be reunited with your child?
My dear, I fear that day, for that reunion may be on opposite sides of a battlefield versus a mother hugging a child in their arms.
I'm sorry, that sounds like an impossible decision.
One I hope you never have to make.
One I wish that none of us had to make. Is there nothing that might convince the others here that their lives are worth fighting for as well?
Well, it's not them you have to convince, dearie. You have to convince the big boy. As they kind of point over towards Aiden, who's in the crow's nest just looking out. We all follow him. We all sacrifice ourselves for him. Even me. And for good reason.
There must be something that he values, something that he lives for, or lived for at one point.
He lived for a lot of things. He lived for family, for the most part. But as you know, the Empire has a pretty good way of separating families. Not much left for him. But even in the face of all that, he still is miraculous in his ability to sacrifice himself in service of others. Like that of a hero, if you will.
I see. Well, forgive me, perhaps it's just because of my profession. But I hate to see people throwing themselves at death. I mean, if you feel strongly enough about this revolution, which is complicated, but if you all feel so strongly about it, shouldn't you want to live to see it happen? The fruits of your labor?
You see, they take a pause for a moment and stop writing. And kind of look you in the eyes. Do you know of any ballads, songs, or deeds of the worthy people? Do you know what is a common thread within all of these? What's the main pinnacle of what holds them together?
What's that?
It is sacrifice. It is death. I know someone of your occupation would love to see everyone be better in a day, to be alive and kindled with family. But at the end of the day, Omera, for a great deed to be indeed great, people usually have to die.
So you're doing this for glory? Is that what you're saying?
I do not do it for glory. I'm just stating those are the common themes. I do it because I understand what Aiden is, and I am doing my best to keep him alive as long as possible for him to enact his great deeds.
I simply reject the premise that greatness requires death. I mean, we all die eventually, that's true, but to seek it out and accelerate it in this way, when there is so much more that a person could do when they embrace life, when they choose life. Fractured though you all might be from family, does it not ever cross your mind that, well, there is a possibility of reunification, and if you throw yourself into the dirt, that you are choosing not to reunite with them?
I think in this moment, you are attempting really here to connect with someone. So, with that in mind, which question do you want to answer here?
I think I will answer what still divides us. Specifically, there is a difference in the world views and the life experiences that Omera has and Josiah has that are coloring their perspective on this. Josiah has lived such a vastly different life than Omera, and I think that makes it so that it's very difficult for them to right away understand each other's point of view. It's difficult for Omera to understand that there is power in death, and I think similarly there is perhaps something difficult for Josiah to understand in the value and the power of a life.
And I shall answer the other question. What common ground do you share? I think as you're sort of giving this bit of a talk or this sort of speech, you do share that common purpose of you want to both live to see tomorrow, and you want that for everybody else. They are captain, and captains with their crews, no matter where they come from, the kind of composition of it all, at the end of the day, they want to keep as many people as they want alive, not only as a reflection of, oh, they're a great captain, no one has ever died under them, but it is also the fact that they understand intimately that each person is a story to be valued, and not all of them deserve to perish. But in the circumstances that they're in, it is a bit of a far-reaching goal rather than a principle for them. As you see, they kind of close their book, begin to get up. It's a bit ironic, really. Just one last question for you to think about, or to, I don't know, dwell on, pray on, if that is your sting still.
Sure.
Have you ever noticed that there is no god of death within the pantheon of the Archons? Yes, you have Daros and his wars, and you have the Archons of Fate and Chaos, but there is no deity specifically to death.
Okay. And
maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe that death is such a universal thing that they don't feel the need to talk about it. That they don't feel the need to dwell on it. Death is a natural part of life. Maybe it needs to happen in order for the beauty of everything, the love that Johanna once had for people. Death is both good and bad, depending on how it goes. So maybe every sacrifice here necessarily isn't a bad thing. Maybe it's what's needed to make things better. The bit old medicine, if you will.
maybe. Perhaps death is the fabric that has weaved the universe, but maybe these are all tales that we tell ourselves to comfort our grief in the face of death instead.
You see, they look slightly impressed. You are ever the shrewd one. A bit of advice, dearie. I do notice the eyes you give to our lovely leader.
I'm sorry?
I have seen those eyes many of times, darling, as they give a bit of a smirk.
I don't know what exactly you're getting at here.
Well, heed my warning, nevertheless. I have seen those eyes 1,000 times. I have heard that heartbeat skip a beat when you looked that person, and that feeling in your chest.
You can hear that?
But metaphor, darling, metaphor. Stay with me.
Okay, sorry.
That feeling you're feeling inside, while as wonderful as it may seem, has also brought many kingdoms to ruin and rebellions into ash. I highly suggest you don't act on those.
Advice noted.
You should kill it. Better to everyone, as they pat you on the back.
And stunned by the turn of the conversation, because Omera was not expecting that, Omera, I think, continues to sit in this spot and waits for Jisea to fully leave before turning and looking to see if Aiden is still in the crow's nest.
He is. You see, he's just plotting and charting at the moment, looking up in the stars, and whether it be on purpose or just because of the coincidence of things, he still looks as handsome as ever on the bow of the ship, wind blowing in the hair. Whether it be cruelty of luck or just the way things happen, it is what you see.
And Omera gets lost in that for a little bit, thinking about what Jisea said about feelings and turning revolutions into ash, but also thinks that feelings, passion, is a spark that starts a fire, isn't it? So maybe. And I think is just sitting and thinking about that for a bit until we get somewhere closer to Mali.
Yes, you sit there pondering it. But as you do, you begin to feel something come across your neck. Not necessarily going through, but something sitting there. You don't know how fast this thing came or even how you didn't notice, but you do find that there is a sharp curved dagger sitting at the bow of your neck as you see fog slowly begin to fill the deck of the ship.
Omera goes still as this dagger comes to their neck, and their eyes flit over to the direction of the person that is wielding it to see what Ray can make out of the person that is assailing them.
What you see is a remarkable sight. You see this figure maybe around your height. They have this sort of brownish skin that starts to have veins of purple around their eyes. But you can't see the irises of those eyes, as a bandage completely covers everything. In a similar sense to maybe if somebody was blind or if somebody got hurt around that region, it would be impossible for them to see any movement. But that's not the only thing. You notice that their ears are more demonic in nature, curved at the sides. You see the horns are also this sort of pulsing green as they just look at you with their monstrous set of teeth, almost like an underbite with also an overbite at the same time, as you hear them say, "Aiden, how pleased I am to see you." You see Aiden slowly begins to make his way down from the crow's nest, and as he does, you notice coming out of this mist, several other sailors find themselves in very similar situations, as they all have knives across their necks.
Omera stays still, and with their eyes is going to track this conversation between Aiden and this person for a bit. Is going to observe at first before acting.
"I'm surprised you made your way out of your little hidey hole. Calm down, Rao. No need to kill my crew. And what are you doing here? Not many people can escape Scarlet Bay, nevertheless get past the warden. And also, where is my lovely goddaughter?" As you see Jasiah kind of point behind him, gun on his head. So it's very much gun on his head, knife at your throat, and goes, "Hello, Rao. Long time no see." "Goddaughter, it has been too long." You see Aiden kind of go, "Can we just all put the weapons down?" As you see, he puts Jasiah's down, leaving the knife still on you, but trying to tell Rao to let go of it.
I think at this point, Omera speaks up. If you're wondering how everybody escaped Scarlet Bay, you should probably take your knife off of the throat of the person who helped make it happen.
"Ah, so the rumors are true. There is a god killer among you. How interesting. You killed my lady in waiting."
I'm sorry?
Hmm.
I don't think Johanna had a master of any kind.
More like partners. We had very similar goals. Call us a cult following, if you will.
And it clicks for Omera who exactly this person is. Ah. Delusional partners, then, is what you actually meant.
And I think as that is on knife on your throat, you connecting it, I think it becomes a little bit more worse as you begin to remember your parents died to the jaws of Johanna. Your king kind of told you in quiet, and he did tell you who is responsible. The person that is holding this thing to your very throat. as the name Rao pings on the back of your mind. And you could see Dawn, almost in reaction, appears to you and goes, maybe if we sweep his leg, he won't notice, and then we can take him out.
I think Omera is too distracted by this realization and the emotions that are overcoming them to have this conversation with Dawn in this moment. Dawn's suggestion registers in their mind, but they do a quick scan of the situation, and instead, I think Omera's hand goes up to Rouse that is holding the blade and grabs it firmly and pushes away from their own throat as Omera stands up.
I think you're going to be active impulsively here. So I will say in this moment, what advantage do you seize? Because you're kind of taking the initiative here. You're taking this hand. Again, even though same height, large, monstrous hand. More like claws of anything that you're able to sort of push to the side. So what are you taking advantage of here?
The advantage that I seize is that Omera is making a show of force, a very confident show of power, and is refusing to display fear to a person who probably is used to being feared. Omera understands that in this encounter, they need to assert dominance, so to speak. And so it is a very, I am not afraid of you. I will take you on head on if I must, because I know that I will win kind of energy that Omera is trying to instill into Rao.
You see, they show no emotion, but stand back. The trouble that hits you hardest fast is not from the enemy side, but rather your own. As you see, Aiden gives you a disappointing look as he tells the both of you getting in the way. Everybody stand down. We're all friends here, Rao. And as you can see, you see Jisea picks up something from like their backpack that they have on, toss down one of the gold bars. We have your payment. Rao picks it up, checks for the authenticity of it as he scratches on it almost like chalk, scraping and peeling off just every bit of gold. Lovely. Always knew I could count on you. As you see, they snap their fingers as all of the other monstrous creatures that look similar to him begin to disappear into the mist.
And
well, I would love... Oh, no, please continue. You go first.
No, you finish.
Oh, finish so then I can just, fantastic. But goes back and says, I love a little bit of theater. It took you long enough to get my gold. I assume the God Killer had something to do with that. Who, if I'm not mistaken, seems to be from around these parts.
Aiden might think that we're all friends, but truthfully, I don't know you, so forgive me if I don't see you as a friend just yet. And seeing as we're not friends yet, I don't think I owe you that information.
Well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Rao.
I know who
last
you are.
Of the... Oh, you follow my work? Was it before or after the whole eye loss?
Your work, as you call it, involves killing helpless people in different lands?
Helpless is a strong word. I like to use the term conspirators, or not innocent per se, those who understand the grand plan. Complicitors.
The grand plan? And what plan is that exactly? Please enlighten me.
Well, those who service the gods, of course, who pay tribute to those terrible siblings in Mali.
And this coming from a person who deludes themselves into believing that they have taken an Archon for a lover. Do you hear yourself?
Lover, more like partner. A little bit different. I know your pretty little head, as he pats it, may not understand that.
We are mortals, and we are not the equivalent of Archons. We will never be their partners or their equals. I would have expected that somebody so interested in Johanna would have understood that. But no, instead you parade around pretending to have the power of the Archons to what? Kill families? Kill good, pious people? To kill those who have done nothing wrong, who only pray that the Archons may put food on their table or bless their ships.
You speak as if you know how things are, but I must tell you, Godkiller, you know nothing of the way the world works. As you see, they get intimidately close to you.
Omera doesn't waver and stands firm in front of Rao. I know that you killed my parents, who had nothing to do with anything. They are not conspirators with the Empire. They were not.
You're gonna have to remind me then. I kill a lot of people.
And that's your problem. No cause is worthy, is just, if it results in senseless violence to the point that you can't even remember the people whose lives you've taken. And I think Omera, without pulling away, without breaking from this standoff, is going to address Aiden. I didn't realize you were working with them.
Part of the deal. Look, bro, we can just give you the gold, take the weapons, and we'll be on our way. You see, not paying attention to Aiden, still looking at you with a bit of a smirk on his face, goes, "All the boys, right," turns around. "We need to talk downstairs. You can join us, Godkiller, since you have such ideals about the cause. It'd be very enlightening to hear somebody that is opposing views."
And as people are kind of like moving to go downstairs to have this conversation, Omera grabs Jisea's wrist as she's walking. I assume she's going to be a part of this as well, being so integral to the plan. And Omera grabs her wrist a little too firmly and like pulls her back. I thought you left them. Why are we all working with them?
Because they have the things we need in order to win a revolution. See, the thing you don't understand is they're all broken. Every major cell out there has their own idea of what a revolution is. And that's the reason why we lost the first time around. Aiden there is going to be the pyramid at the top. We need their help, so I suggest you put whatever petty bullshit that you have for my godfather, and we just get on with the day.
Would have figured that you would have had stronger discomfort working with them.
If you would understand what they went through, your convictions would have lessened as they take their arm away and proceed to go down.
Omera follows after a moment, but does so with clouded judgment. there is too much anger within Omera to really think about that. Right now, they just cannot fathom anything that would have justified the wanton murder of rare parents who were just people. They hadn't done anything wrong. Nothing could justify their murder. So, to Omera right now, it doesn't matter what Rao went through. It doesn't matter what the jaws of Jahana individually and collectively have been through. Because nothing that they have been through could justify that. So Omera walks to the meeting, but does so with a very heavy weight. And all of that is directed at Rao.
Anger, and I think for the first time in a long time, you feel true rage in your heart, ever so slightly, but an emotion you are not completely familiar with. As you proceed to go down the steps, you end up in what looks like to be the private captain quarters of the ship. And with that, you see Rao immediately just makes a beeline straight for the nearest liquor cabinet they can find as they begin to pour themselves what looks like to be a very fine red. As they begin to pour and sip. Aiden kind of goes, "You're doing a lot of work for something that should be very simple. Where's my weapons, Rao?" And he goes, Aiden. Well, you took your sweet-ass time with it, as they said. And the weapons have been confiscated. You see Aiden takes a pause. Confiscated by who, Rao? The government. Specifically the Archons of Fate and Chaos. As those particular words have a bit of a viciousness to them as he says it out loud. They took your weapons and have been confiscated within the House of Fortune. But worry not, there is a gold lining within all this. You see, just say, how can there be a gold lining in this? They have the weapons, it's over. You see Aiden go, let me just hear him out. Well, for the precise reasons why I wanted this gold, it is enough to be of a stupid amount that these Archons will parlay with us, or at least have a meeting of sense. With all this gold, they cannot deny a meeting with somebody of such value, and plus, since it is the Empire's gold, I think they would be more than keen to take the glory.
You think that the Empire is going to want to meet with criminals who've stolen gold?
The Empire would never deal with such a conflicted persons of me, but two Archons that have a love of gambling could never afford to look the other way towards such a massive amount. Plus, if they're able to capture the so-called Scarlet Bay defectors, it's a win in their books as well.
So you plan on gambling the freedom of everyone here, of this entire crew, for what exactly?
Well, you can gamble with your fates as much. I am going to gamble with the gold that is now mine. You can maybe gamble it away something of a valuable nature for the weapons, if you're so keen. Or I could try to finagle it and make it a part of my deal. But never to say, we still have to get past one obstacle, if you know my meaning. And you see Aiden go, we're going to need a meeting with them, and we can't just walk in the front door because we're wanted. So I'm guessing we're going to have to go talk to them, huh? Indeed, my boy.
I'm sorry, talk to who?
Our mole. Yes, they dubbed this lovely person Goldfire. If my calculations are correct, and my intel is never wrong, They seem to be in the Senate at the moment.
And you said that you've never met or spoken to or anything this person in terms of their real identity?
Aiden kind of goes, well, I haven't. Neither has Jasea, but Rao's talk to them all the time. Indeed I do. We have a cordial relationship.
Hmm. And I think Omera, like, their demeanor changes a little bit as the subject of conversation changes to the mole. The anger is kind of simmering now, subdued, and in the back burner, so to speak. And there is a nervousness that takes over them. And who exactly is your mole?
Why do you want to know? Concerned it's another family member to be worried about?
Actually, yes.
Intriguing. Well, when we find out, we'll see how you react. I guaranteed it won't be the way you're thinking.
And Omera is confused by this, and I think right now is too frustrated and annoyed with this person anyway to really allow them to, jostle Omera around. And so, like, will slam their hands onto the table. Look, I've asked once, and I'm going to ask again. Who is your mole?
You see, they play with you in a sense, as they take a bit of the wine and begin to spell out a name. If you're so keen, why don't you read it for yourself?
And Omera will.
You walk over the table. You see the wine is ever so painted in a way and fashion. As you see the name Carlo Bernardi. Not your brother.
And in shock, in surprise, Omera's not able to control their reaction. And they just, I think, very loudly go, "The heretic?"
It is in that way of those who tend to, what's it called? You want to choose the person it's most likely, because no one's going to think about a thing. Carlo here has always been the bit of joke of the community. And their father did just die, so he is now officially the head. He has been giving us intel, and with his rise to head of his family's bank, I think he can guarantee us a meeting with the so-called Archons, but we're going to have to catch him in the Senate. He's
Wait.
there most of the time.
I'm sorry. Backtrack 1 second. Did you say that Carlo Bernardi's father has died?
Yes, heart gave out. Had a certain disease that apparently they thought was cured, but not all the way.
And Omera remembers back to before all of this, when they had treated the Bernardi, head of the family. And I think, like, it gets distracted by that completely and starts sort of, like, muttering to themselves and, like, mumbling, like, no, I'm pretty sure if I had, and starts to, like, walk through for themselves, like, what they did and, like, where the mistake might have been. What is it that Omera didn't catch exactly? I was so sure that I had gotten it.
I see we found the failed physician. I'm not surprised.
It was a ailment that we hadn't seen in Mali or in anywhere in the Empire in years. So it was before my training, before my time. I was treating something that we didn't think would be a problem ever again.
Nevertheless, you did a shit job and he's dead. Which leaves us in more of a positive gain than a negative one. So, congratulations. You did quite a good job screwing up.
Well, if there's anything that I can tell you, it's that working with a heretic is not going to bring you anything positive. Any gains.
Nevertheless, it's our best shot, boy.
If you're planning on going up against the Archons of Fate and Chaos, I implore you to consider a different option than the very person who rigs the games that his family runs. It is an affront to the very Archons that you are trying to beseech.
I'm surprised you're still acting like you're part of their stupid gospel. Last time I checked, you are a traitor of the state.
While
What
that
are you
may
praying
be,
to?
while that may be true, I am just saying that if you're trying to have a meeting with the Archons working openly and publicly with the very family that has slapped these Archons in the face, metaphorically speaking, since you love metaphors, may not be your best shot at getting a meeting with them.
I'm intrigued. If my plan is such a stupid one at that, and is so heretical, what's yours, flower?
Offer the Bernardi up to the Archons. He has committed crimes against the Empire, against the Archons themselves, and surely they will be far more amenable to a conversation and to giving you what you want, though I do not think you deserve anything at all.
You see, Aiden gives a quick glance of astonishment and kind of goes, I know you're kind of new to this whole thing, but we don't turn on each other. That's not exactly what a revolution is. We don't just stab you in the back and toss you to the wolves, especially to the Archons. I don't really feel comfortable with that.
Then don't. I'm simply... Look, the Bernardis have never been good for Mali. And I can't pretend that I'm not very close to the issue here, so you'll excuse me for having opinions about the people that have affected my life and the life of the people that I love.
You see, Aiden looks you in the eyes. Do you truly believe that handing one of our most valuable assets is a better play than trying to convince them that he caught us? It's a genuine question. I'm not trying to be an ass here. I just really want to know if you think that's the better idea. And you can see Jasea's giving a look of like, why are you asking them their opinion? And just like, everyone's like, well, they just got here.
Look, truth be told, I would much rather give up Rao than the Bernardis. But seeing as they're here, that doesn't exactly seem possible. I'm a stranger to all of this, Aiden. You know that. This is so far from what I have ever known, what I ever thought that I would know. So I can't pretend to know what would be better. All I can say in this moment is that I have been a pious and loyal, devout follower of Tava and Ivor my whole life. I understand what it is that they value, and I understand what it is that brings people into their good graces. All I can say is that the Bernardis have done everything wrong in that regard, and have, well, in their point of power, have abused it. That is all that I can offer. what's better, what's more likely to work, I'm not sure.
Aiden looking very much in terms of that very vintage old school style video game of one choice versus the other. Each of you on either side. See that he looks towards you and makes the decision. We'll go with the God Killer's plan. They have a better understanding of the layout and have lived in the city a little bit more than you. Fine, fine. Either way, you're gonna have to follow me in. City's under martial law. There's a big old destroyer on the top. So we'll have to navigate our way sneakily. But don't worry, I'm quite good at sneaking around.
Okay.
No time to waste.
Okay.
With that, Rao drinks his last cup, puts it down, begins to walk out. You see Aiden look over to Isaiah. Isaiah, you got reign of the ship here. If anything happens, you can come help me out, but let Revis take the ship and go to Gali. Case of emergency. If we can't get the weapons, at least we can give him a ship. Alright. And don't get into trouble. The both of you. Come back alive. I'm gonna do what I can do best. Omera, you're with me.
Lead the way.
With that, you proceed to follow Rao. Rao has this sort of misty-like energy that provides almost like a smoke screen for you as you proceed to go off of the ship and into the city of Mali. To be specific, as you are going through, you can see that the essence of Mali here is very similar to what has been seen before. Though there once stood a very large tree here that's a little bit shorter than before due to events in the city's past. At the moment, it is early morning, maybe getting to late morning, as you are sneaking through, and luckily there's enough cover for you to get through, but you can see there's a number of things that are distressing. You see flying above the city, almost like a carrier in a sense, is one of the Empire's destroyers, and specifically you can tell by the way it's gilded, it is something belonging to the Emperor's personal fleet. It has been such a problem here with this situation that it seems maybe the Empire has sent an agent that they know can get a job done. But the streets are flooded, and it's enough to get past the guards, which has almost doubled, maybe even tripled in your time gone. But as you go through, sneaking through successfully, you make your way to the scene of the Signoria, or the equivalent of Mali's government. The building itself is a repurposed cathedral that was established after the city-state made itself independent of a federation a long time ago. As you begin to make your way in, going through one of the nearby windows, you can see that it is beautiful on the inside. The hall themselves is almost empty and is littered with more guards than actual government officials, which is a bit concerning until you understand why. As you see on one of the nearby boards where the government kind of puts notices, one of the ones that are on there is written in the Emperor's hand. And it states that the Signorita is temporarily shut down by orders of Emperor Anir, and the city is under martial law until the rebel conspirators are found. Meaning that your brother didn't necessarily succeed too well in his endeavors to find the culprits, though you can understand why. With that, the two of you begin, well, the three of you technically, begin to go through as the whispering halls until you hear the mumbling of arguing between two individuals. One you have heard before. It is Carlo, as he has that sort of pompous way he talks and trying to establish himself. But the other is concerning as that cortisol fills your body and that tingling around your neck forms. He is arguing with Yakin, your brother. You're catching only glimpses of what's going on, but as you approach the door, you get the general gist that they're arguing about what's going on, and you call her go, hey, look, I don't really care too much about families being arrested and government officials being brought to law. There's a lot of heat in this city, and I'm afraid that with that destroyer in the sky, the Emperor might get a little trigger happy, especially with you-know-who walking around the freaking city. They don't call him the Dagger of Kairos for nothing. You see Yakin go, I understand that you feel that way, but I'm not going to evacuate a whole city, because that is just going to make us look even more guilty, you idiot. You know what? You fucking people never understand that we should really get out of Dodge. And at this moment, you see Rao open the doors. The smoke begin to clear into the room as your brother tries to find something to beat this entity with. Before you see Carlo go, put it down, nuts. You see he goes, what? 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 Aiden walks behind. Omera, do you stay behind or do you walk in the room?
I will walk into the room.
Fantastic. You walk into the room and immediately your brother drops the candlestick he had in his hand. Omera?
Yakin, I'm so glad to see you. What are you doing here right now?
What am I doing? What are you doing? What are you doing with him? As you see, he points over to Oral. Oh, this is hilarious. You're the witch?
Omera, I think, just like puts a hand up to Rao, like, please shut up, and just addresses their brother. I'm not with him, believe me. It's taking everything within me not to. Just, how are you? It's been so long.
And you see, as much as I love this communication, I think we must not leave any witnesses. As you see, he begins to sort of draw out his blades, and you see Carlo kind of go, okay, what's going on here? Well, you dummy, you see that Rao kind of goes, we have a change of plans. We're to turn you in. You're gonna do what? As you see Carla kind of look through, and you can see Yakin going, wait, you were working with him? Oh, well, fun fact, this is the guy responsible for all the heartache you've been dealing with. You see Yakin go, you son of a bitch. And you see Carla, hey, we had a deal here. Why are you going to turn me in for? I got you the weapons. And you see Aiden go, yeah, you idiot, but we didn't tell you to get him confiscated, now did we?
I think when Rao had said we're not leaving any witnesses, Omera had stepped in front of Yakin, like in between Yakin and Rao, to act as a body shield in case Rao goes for their brother, because that is not gonna fly. And I think, like, back to Yakin, like, facing Rao, is gonna, like, talk to Rare Brother. I told you I'm not working with him or his ridiculous cult or anything like that. Things got complicated.
Is it too much to ask for a little bit of room here? As he kind of looks over to the enemies of the state that are across from him. He goes, take your time, Senator Omera. We're going to take this bumbling idiot with us. You see Aiden go, I hope you can convince your brother not to go to the authorities. I do not want to kill him, but if he's going to open his mouth.
You are not to lay a hand on my brother. They'll be okay. Trust me.
We'll be in the next room. Tell us when you're done. We're going to have a talk with Carlo over here. I ain't talking. Oh, as you see, he gets punched by Aiden and grabs him as he tosses him into the next room. as they have their own conversation on the side.
I don't know if that's much of a conversation, really, but
Conversation starter. With that, two of you in this room here. Yakin is... It's worrisome. He is relieved, but you can see there is anger on his face, which is uncharacteristic of your supporting and caring brother.
Yakin, I know this is a lot to take in. It's been a lot for me to take in as well. But I'm here now. And I'm here now.
Yeah, and that's just gonna magically change everything, right?
Well, you now know exactly who was the traitor here, and I mean soon Carlo's about to get taken to the Archons. So that absolves you of any guilt, of any suspicion that they may have thought. If they thought it was you, well, it clearly isn't. So that fixes things, right?
You know, if you're wondering, because you haven't asked, Titus and Azul are fine.
Are they here?
Managed to get... no, thank God.
I wasn't sure after...
They made it out. Titus is back in the capital and Azul is just somewhere. Is it true what you did? No bullshit.
You're my brother. You're my brother. It's true. But know that I was saving Azul. Know that what I saw was not the mercy of the Archons, the way that we've been taught, the way that Mother and Father taught us of their love and their mercy and their grace. It was none of that. Yakin, if you had been there, if you had seen what Johanna was doing, the senseless slaughter, it was cruel. And we asked her to stop. I asked her why. It was cruel. I had to save Azul. They would have died otherwise if I didn't do something, and I didn't even know what I was doing.
Then maybe you should have let him die.
Why would you say that?
Because you have no understanding of what you've done. You think that destroyer in the sky is because of some lost gold?
They know that I'm not here. They're the ones that sent me to a prison that nobody even knows exists. Did you know this, by the way?
I didn't know. I thought you were dead. I buried you, but we will get to that in a hot second. I'll put a riddle to you. You're a doctor. Someone dies of the disease. What do?
You do an autopsy. Try to figure out exactly how they died, and hopefully use that information to prevent the same from happening to someone else.
Okay. You, in this scenario, are that disease. You just killed an Archon, not just some lowly informant. You killed an Archon. An Archon on a war front trying to take down rebels, and in that process you killed about 30,000 men. What do you think the Empire's doing right now? For months, that thing has been hanging over our heads with the capability to kill everyone here. Because you had to interfere, and because of the one thing I warned you not to get involved with, you did anyway. Because Azul, fucking Azul, if they whined like a little bird, if they just wing broken, you had to come in and try to save them. You should have let them die. You should have ran away. You should have never got yourself involved. But now you killed a god. Killed a god. You have any implication of what that is, Omera? The consequences of that?
What if it had been me? And what if it had been you? Would you have let me die?
I would have protected you, but I wouldn't kill a fucking god.
Would you have left me to die?
Don't try to circumvent this whole thing, okay?
I'm asking a simple question. What would you have done in my position? Somebody that you love, that you care about, is being ravaged by a god that you have grown up loving.
I don't understand it. Because every day you come through these halls preaching like some sort of priest about the gods do this, we can't do that, and all of a sudden, when it comes to you, you become so hypocritical, and you don't think of the consequence. On top of all this, what are you doing with him?
I didn't know that the Jaws were here, that they were involved in any of this. I got the way I was lost. Yakin. Disappeared. Lost is passive. I was disappeared.
Amia, I was lost in academy. I got drunk. I failed a few classes. I didn't fucking kill a god!
You're not listening to me. I was disappeared. Yakin, the Archons put me in a prison that nobody knows exists. They lied to you that I died. I was alive. And they were keeping me away. No trial, no justice, no nothing. Myson? A joke. I was disappeared, Yakin. And I did everything that I could to get back here. Just for a sense of justice, for something. Because I didn't see it there. From Bast. From anyone. I watched a friend be killed for nothing. I'm sorry if it's hypocritical. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Mom and Dad were wrong.
About what?
About everything. About the Empire. About the Archons.
And with this epiphany that you're now having at the most inconvenient of times, what are you gonna do? You gonna start a war?
I was not built for war. Yakin, you know that.
Well, when you're giving the fucking enemy all the gold, that's a sure hellfire way of doing that! I don't think you understand what war is, and I'm sorry that I never told you the true extent of what went down with Mom and Dad, because I think maybe that's where this comes coming from. Maybe you feel some sort of injustice about what happened, and in some sort of fucked up inconvenience of conflicting beliefs, you felt the need to avenge them, and I have to let you know, there's nothing to avenge. They died. It was a normal death. They died in war. They died for the Empire. That's it. No more, no less. You always have had this conviction in your life that you try to save everyone by doing things you shouldn't be doing. This, before then, the Academy with Titus. Before then, you, Mom and Dad. You always have this notion that you are essentially the essence of everyone's story, and you don't understand there are consequences to your actions. I am happy you are alive and well. I am not trying to take away from that, but what you have done in that process has truly and royally screwed us over, and you may have killed much more people now with the decisions and people you were aligning yourself with.
It is disappointing to hear my brother lay blame at my feet for something that the gods are choosing to do. Something that the Empire is choosing to do. You want to blame me for the horrors of the troops
I'm
outside?
not blaming you. You're trying to make this about me. I'm not blaming you. I grew up. Your death accelerated that tenfold. I have people to take care of, Omera. As much as you are my family, there are other people out there that I have to protect. And you being with those bastards endanger families. Children.
I don't intend to allow the jaws of Johanna to continue their ways. They are not...
Did you intend to kill Johanna? Did you intend for rebels to be freely roaming among the city? Did you intend to... What is your purpose here? Anyway, you should have never come back home. You should
Do
have
you
just stayed
know
away.
what the Empire has done to the rebels? You speak of children, you speak of families. Do you know what the rebel children have had to endure? Because I'll admit, I didn't...
They get re-educated.
Do you know what that means?
They get put into new homes. It doesn't matter what it means.
Of course it matters what it means. Yakin, and I think Omera grabs Yakin by the shoulders at this point in a desperate attempt to connect. Yakin, I didn't know. And neither do you. I thought that the Empire, the exalted Empire, was here to help everybody, and that anyone that opposed its will was simply trying to sow discord and chaos among us. But I have seen that there is no justice, or at least a twisted, perverted version of justice amongst the Empire. I just ask that you see it too.
In this instance, you're trying to connect with someone. I'm going to answer what still divides us, but what common ground do you share with your brother?
What common ground do we share? I think the thing that is the same about Yakin and I in this moment, and in the way that we are viewing philosophically and politically the situation at hand, is that we both want to protect people. We both want to save people's lives. We just think that there is different ways to go about that right now, and despite those differences, though, there is a innate and fundamental desire to hold on to the value of a life.
In that moment, you understand you are still family. But there's still a very big political difference here. More maybe ideology in a sense. As he takes your hands off of his shoulders. That's a problem, Omera. You spend so much time in those woods living a life that is not realistic. There is no justice, Omera. If there was justice, Ra would be dead and Mom and Dad would still be alive. There is survival. There is appeasement, but there is no justice.
And
The Empire protects, and we all have to just get along.
Omera takes a step back from Yakin. I do not choose to survive at the expense of another. Please, don't make that choice. I don't know what's right. I can't claim to when so much of what I've known I'm learning is wrong. But please, at least try to understand that there are innocent people that we have been taught are evil by the very nature of their existence. And that's not right.
You see they go towards the window and hold themselves stoically as they try to hold their breath. You've crossed the line, Omera. A line that no one is supposed to cross. Part of me wants to understand why you did what you did for Azul. But I can't do that. You are going to a very, very dark place. It is a place I cannot follow because there are too many people relying on me. It's a path you're going to have to figure out on your own. Without my help.
I'm sorry that your love for the Empire exceeds your love for me. But know that I still love you, Yakin. Maybe I am going down a dark path. But at the end of it, I'll still be waiting for you. If you change your mind. There will always be room for you in my life. They're going to try to kill you. I won't let them. Or I'll try to do my best to protect you anyway, but you should probably find a way to protect yourself in the meantime.
You see he grabs his papers, walks next to side by side. Protect yourself. They're coming for you, and they won't stop until they rid the Empire of this disease, which is now you.
And Omera is silent, standing there next to their brother, thinking back to that moment that Yakin saw them off to school, off to the academy, taught them the lesson by sword. I didn't lose myself, Yakin. I found myself. I hope one day you can understand that.
They walk off without responding. Not a hug, not a look. No sign but stone cold heart. And as the scene slowly fades away, the camera pans to the other door, in which Rao is talking with Carlo very intimately. Aiden is not, as a crack between the door was left open, with him hearing every word of your conversation. And that is where we shall take a break for a moment. With that, use Albano, get yourself a snack, and we'll be right back. See you soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second half of Forsaken. With that in mind, and after all that heartbreak, let's get to something a little bit lighter, shall we?
I don't trust you.
What do you trust me? I'm your god. Come on, follow me.
They call you the trauma man for a reason.
It's affectionate. Affection has to count for something. Now, audience, if you follow me, we cut to what seems to be maybe a couple hours of waiting, due to the fact that, yeah, you got to the Senate building, but then you have to bring an extra body that's very unwilling. You do notice that while you were talking with your brother, homeboy here, Carlo, is rope around the mouth, rope around the waist. You could say he didn't want to come, but he's coming either way. As he has that, and the whole time giving you looks of like, you make your way to the House of Fortune. This lovely building, its exterior is made entirely out of a mixture of gold and silver to signify the good luck and fortune of the Veros, or the family that the Archons belong to, as these Archons are different than most. They are siblings and share their power with one another. Fate, chaos. With it, the river runs into this point here, and as you soon enter one of the nearby entrances, you can see that this place is almost like a Versailles in a sense. There's multiple salons in which people are debating about politics or the latest fashion trends, and other things which are of a paramount in a good society. This does not matter to you, and you can even see Aiden entering in wants to almost gag from the amount of pretentiousness that is in here. You see there are treasures along the walls and arts of the most unique kinds and designs. With it, you enter into one of the main halls here as the doors open and see what looks like to be a rather large parlor in a sense, where it has dives and dips into a bit to a decorative sort of floor tile floor. There's servants painted in gold, waiting on the side to give you whatever you need, and you can see the siblings on the other side, listening to the splendid music as people are all around here. This isn't just a meeting with you, it is a full-on gamble. People are winning, people are losing, people are maybe in between. Some people are watching, some people are even betting on those bets. It is a amalgamation of the best thing about gambling. The aroma, the chance of winning. The siblings you see are two different, and believe it or not, the ones you see each, while look one way, represent something different. The first one you see is a little bit more aloof. They are more bored of the things going on here, and are in their sort of couch or chair in a way in which they don't really care about what's going on, and simply taking in the muses of mortals. Their skin is pink, their eyes are cyan blue, and their hair is a mixture of blue but also highlights of pink in the front, as their ears are decorated with this gold in the front, as they have a lovely white dress made of gold. This is Tava, the Archon of Fate. The other Archon is more of a military astute. He is wearing what looks like to be military uniform, but in a sense of over-exaggeration of the golden qualities of it, or the fancy of it. More in a sense of not for war, but for presentation. His hair is in dreads and bundled up in the back, which is more of a purple, which matches with his skin. And you do see there is a birthmark of pink that goes slightly across his face as his eyes are pink. This is Ivar, the Archon of Chaos. Chaos here is standing a suit, and Fate is aloof and not caring. As you enter into the room, you see Tava begin to gesture towards you. And who is it now, brother, that comes to us? It is what I am wondering as well. Please speak up.
Just to paint a picture of how we are like in here. Did we at all prepare to come here? Like, did we like change our clothes or anything, or are we just rolling up?
I would say Aiden's not changing because he doesn't care what these people think.
Sure.
Neither does Rao.
Sure.
You do have a chance to get your old clothes if you so wish, as you are in kind of your brother's quarters, and in the other room, you occasionally stayed here just because, he's got late night, you want to be here for him, so you did kind of be proactive in leaving places where, in case you had to make a quick change for somebody, it is nearby. So I leave it up to you whether if you come a little bit more presentable or if you just show up in the same raggedy pirate clothes you've been wearing for some time.
No, I think Omera, if Ray had a chance to change and put on some clean, clothes, and even better if they're their own clothes, they would have changed and they would have put them on and would have tried to style some of the leaves and stuff in a more presentable fashion, trying to look somewhat put together for this situation, even though that's not really possible. So imagine that, framed by the raggedy pirates.
You do notice that as you're walking and you just sit there, Ra goes, kisses!
And Omera will walk up and will bow slightly to Tava and Ivor and say, Archons, I do not believe that we have had the pleasure of meeting before. I have been a long-standing devotee of you both. And today, my colleagues, in this case, I suppose, and I bring you an offering. The traitor amongst your midst, the one who has been working with the rebels to undermine Mali and all of your lands, I suppose. And Omera will just kind of like awkwardly like step aside to allow Rao and Aiden to bring Carlo forward.
You see that Tava gets up and has very much the mannerisms of a housewife in terms of like real housewife energy as they sort of get up, stretch with their amalgamations of jewelry on their hands, and you can see the infamous, or famous in this case, shawl that they have with various lines of destiny among it. As they walk down, if you are, as you say, a believer of our cause, you would be reminisced to kiss my hand. As you see, they very much Pope-like fashion extend their hand out for it to be kissed.
Omera will step forward, take Tava's hand gently in their own, and will lean down to kiss it. But as I do, is there any way for me to like read the shawl? Is that like recognizing a god? I don't know what that is, but I want to try and read the shawl as I go down to kiss Tava's hand.
Sure, let's see what's going on. I will say, let's do recognize a god. Let's do that. Pretty much, are you in their domain? Of course. You're familiar with their gospel? I'm gonna say you should be. You lived here. It'd be bad if you didn't know, and that's the other thing. It'd be bad if you didn't know. It would be bad if you didn't know. So you get to add +3 to this bad boy.
I got a 7.
Got a 7. That's what you need to
That
hit.
3 really helped.
Boy, that's good. It's on your side. It's all right. It's helping your poor rolls here. You can ask your GM a single follow-up question of your choosing, and they must answer honestly. So you are looking at the shawl. What do you want to see within it?
Ooh, and you said that this was like destinies and fates that were kind of like shimmering along the shawl.
Yes, think of it in the sense of like a shawl that almost like to what you are wearing. It is interwoven with various silks on that, but instead of all that kind of silk or material wool, it is destinies.
I don't know if this is perhaps too specific, so let me know if it is.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pinpoint or read out Aiden's fate?
I will say you do notice that among the gold and glitter, there is a purple one. but it is a bit curious, as it is almost like when you have a piece of clothing and you wear it a lot, there's that string that kind of hangs loose. Similar to that, as you see, it is almost like when you light a almost like a cannon, when you're lighting it, how it kind of flickers away. You do notice ever so slightly, it is fading away. As it is still quite maybe medium length, but it is like sand slowly dissipating.
Okay. Do I have my follow-up question, or was that my question?
I'll give you one more because I'm a kind person.
Oh, thanks.
I'm gonna kill you anyway. You might as well get his questions out the way.
Looking at that kind of fraying thread that is, I guess, like separated from the rest of the shawl, kind of like moving away. And you don't have to be specific about it, but just general question: are there others like it, or is it kind of the only one that's behaving in that way? You don't have to tell me like whose or anything.
There's another one, but you don't know whose it is. There is another one, but it looks like that one just started.
Like just started to fray, or just started to turn purple?
It's just started to fray. It's already purple. It's starting to fray. You see there's another one, but at the moment, only 2.
Okay. Omera, I think, like, takes note of this as they bow down to kiss Tava's hand, and after doing so, I think they look up at her blue eyes and they smile gently and say, I hope that the work that we have done for you helps bring about your continued, well, I was never very good with words, continued reign, joy, good luck, whatever it is that you hope for.
Blessing upon your faith. As you see, they give a little bit of a blessing and proceed to turn away. You see they take the individual. Armand is going to be very pleased with this. Do you not think, brother? Indeed he will be. As you see, they gesture, and you see the same individual you saw before. The one that sent you to Scarlet Bay. As you see, he is there as well, looking down, gives a raise of the glass. The Dagger of Karos is very pleased with your turnaround, which... Now, what can we do for you? You have brought us a gleaming present. What would you like? Would you like to know your fate? Would you like some disorder? What is it that the House of Fortune can supply you with?
We would like to pray. Specifically, we would like to play a game of chance with the two of you, looking over at Ivor as well. If that would be amenable to you, Archons. And as is customary with these games of chance, we would like to play for stakes.
Please, I am intrigued. Are we playing as a party, or are we going one by one?
And Omera will look at Aiden first, has a thought, then looks over at Rao and has a different thought, and turns back to Tava individually, I believe.
Pleasure. With that, what is it that you desire? With that, you see Rao gets in front of you. Pleasure. Nice to see you again, Ivor. We've met before. You seem to not have left a positive image, I guess. Seen better days? Always with the jokes, this one. I wish to play for the honor of fighting you. Clearly you must be joking. I am honest. 1v1 is all I ask. Fine. If you are suicidal, we shall put that on the table. And what about the scrawny one? What would you like? You see Aiden kind of pulls up. I would like the weapons that you confiscated. You see Armand, the individual on the sort of the ramparts kind of hand, you can hear it just slightly crack one of the pieces of stone. Quite illegal. I would allow it to be fair play, but no, the consequences will also be a little bit harder. Fine with it. Who said it isn't like a game of dice, huh? And then last but not least, our lovely healer. What is it that you'd like?
I think Omera thinks about it for a little bit. Looks over at Armont and then back at the two gods in front of them. I'm sure that you have heard stories that precede me. I don't pretend that they aren't traveling on the winds. So, I would like justice for myself. I would like to be free from the stains of what the Empire has deemed a crime to it. I would like to be free from persecution.
I heard the rumors are true. As you see, everybody kind of pays attention to you. We have a god killer in our midst. It is very interesting these times we live in, is it not, brother? Indeed. I will allow it.
Please,
Each of you have decided to play our game.
know that though the rumors that precede me are what they are, that I just would like to put it on the table, so to speak, that I wish you to no harm, as it were. I've spent my whole life praying to you and playing your games. I do not wish to cause discord here.
You're so wonderful with manners. I would make sure punishment is not as bad due to that. Little bit of a lighter sentence. For all is fair in a game of chance. You see the brother begin to come down from his hand. You see what looks like to be really a set of ordinary dice. Two of them in a red-soaked stone kind of color. This is the dice you shall play with. It is fair, but also chaotic, like the universe. Roll it at your leisure. As you see, he puts it on the ground. Ra will go first. You see, he rolls, goes towards you, Omera. Blow it for good luck.
And Omera looks at Rao, cocks an eyebrow, and shakes their head. In games of chance, we're all on our own.
Poor fucking sport. Throws the dice. As the gambling begins, you see it's a pair of double six. Evens on the top of that. High. It looks like you have, in this instance, won the approval of a battle. Thank you. I owe it to the God Killer. As they proceed to give you a little bit of a douchey, like, what's up? As
Bro,
they go
what the
inside.
fuck did I do? What do you mean you're on to me?
He's like, he didn't blow the dice. And kind of goes to the side. With it, Aiden goes up next. You see, he grabs the dice and begins to shake them. Are you doing anything, or are you waiting until your turn? I know you didn't care too much for Rao, but I know Aiden's maybe a bit of a different story.
Yeah, before Aiden goes, I would like to use my renown move
Ooh,
in this
please
moment
do.
to ask you, the GM. We're gonna have to I think play with this a little bit, but the question is, what aren't they telling me? Basically, looking for, they being the Archons in this case. Is there anything about these dice, about this game, that is unspoken that I can ascertain by sort of honing into that divine connection that I have now?
It takes a moment. You tune yourself in with the world, and you do see Dawn in their incorporeal form is looking and observing. You see they go towards the dice and mutter to themselves, well, that is strange. If it is a game of chance, then why do they have full control over it?
Do I know which one of them has control, or is it both? Is it like one die per god, basically?
It is a ruse. These are not the dice of chaos. These are fate's dice. Something utterly and completely under their control, which means anybody who has ever rolled these, whoever will roll these, and who are currently rolling them, is not up to chaos, but fate, as they get to choose who wins and who loses, depending on how they're feeling on the day. Completely and unequivocally unfair.
Okay. Okay.
Do you let Aiden roll, or do you wait for your turn?
I'm thinking. 1 second.
Slow motion. I'll say, as you are thinking, I'll give you a little bit more time here. As you're a moment, you also do get a feeling here that, well, on a normal day, they are free and able to make whatever choice they want. But with Armont here, being, the Emperor, one of the Emperor's ships is here, you can understand this is a man of high power, which may be influencing them in this decision that they're making today, at least.
They want to look good for a near, blah, blah, blah. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, all right.
Computing.
I am computing so hard right now. I will allow Aiden to roll the dice. And then...
Okay. With it, rolls his dice. See, he gets odds, which is usually bad. You get from the sense of odd is not necessarily good, even's a bit better. And usually the higher you are, the better it is, and the lower you are, the worse it is. See, he gets 3. Ooh, hard. But we shall deal with the consequence in a second. Yes.
I think in that moment after the dice roll and they land on this 3, there is a ripple as Omera, I think, like, very small, very understated, moves the wings out of Rare's shoulder blades and out and beats them once, and the dice will move and manifest 2 6s. And what I am doing is I am manifesting a miracle, because I am quite literally going against fate in order to accomplish this. And I'm going to sacrifice my wings in order to do so.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I figured you wouldn't let me do this unless it was a miracle, because I'm literally fighting fate.
All right. I love you. Like, you can't, Connie's rules. You can't fight Connie. You can't 1v1 Connie. You do, so understanding, you won't be having those wings no more if you do this.
That's cool.
Fantastic. You use your wings. In a gasp, the room is turned. All their gambling and everything fades away as you pull out your wings. Dice change. You see Tava get angry. Gets close in your face, uncomfortable, as you see their humanoid form shits ever so slightly. And who told you you could do that? You're not one of us. You will never be one of us.
I'm sorry, my lady, Tava. I have no ambitions to become an Archon or to become one of you. Those dice, they are controlled by chaos, you said. Perhaps they chaotically decided that the outcome that they had chosen was not, in fact, the outcome that they wanted. A mere mortal like myself can't have control over that.
You see Armont on the top. I say we let it play. They won this round. I highly doubt they can do it again. Shift back. You are very clever for the god killer, huh? The witch in the woods has a flip up their sleeves. It is the Mali way! As they try to do very much passive aggressiveness in the room. As you hear just a, oh, good show. That was a really good show.
Everything is fair in a game of chance, after all. Right?
I see that these dice are not going to be doing the trick, so brother, let us get your pair out. You see, he reproduces something of a little bit more celestial in nature. They hold the very stars inside of them. As you see, he pulls out the true chaos of dice here. Please, Godkiller, we're dying with anticipation. Roll. Let us see what your fate is.
Am I just rolling straight 2d6s?
2d6s. You want to get even. Success. The higher it is in terms of the number, the better it's going to be. Vice versa, not as bad. The lower it is, the worse.
Just double checking, this is not a move. I'm not adding anything. It's just,
nope,
okay, cool.
We're shooting the shit here. We're making our own rules.
I got a 5, which is high, but odd, so I don't know what that means.
With that, ooh! It is bad luck, as they say in the gambler's hole. With that, we seem to have 2 successes and a loss. So, brother, you can have your little duel with your pet in the corner. You, rebel, your weapons will be delivered outside the hall as of now. As you can just hear, and you, God killer, as you see, they be seen to come down the steps. You failed. What consequences shall we have for you? Maybe I should take an arm, an eye, something you love. What would be suffice punishment for you?
I think Omera is thinking in their mind of like any true punishment, so to speak. They're worried about the people that they are attached to, basically. Worried for Yakin, worried for Azul, for Titus even, as loose as that connection is, and for Aiden as well. And so Omera, I think, in a very quick succession of thoughts, trying to find a way to convince Tava that the punishment, whatever it is, should rest with them. Ray, I think, blurts out, "Tie my fate to yours. Make a bond of some kind. I have power. We both know that. There's no use in pretending otherwise. So make sure that I can't use it against you. Bind my fate."
That is clever. You are damaged goods, though. I do not know if I want to bind myself to such a thing. But then again, the prospect of being in the clear is very nice. Very nice indeed.
Consider it security. After all that's been happening.
Lovely. I think that is a plan. As you see, they pull their cloak around and find your nearby string. But they do it behind their back as to not show you.
I was gonna ask what my string looks like. You can't do this to me.
You lost. You don't get to see your string. With that, there are going. I will say in this purpose here is going to count as sparing a god. So if you be so kind again to roll
word?
another, I'm going to say yes because especially the way you worded it in terms of kind of that sort of we can't harm
fair.
each other
I see
kind of
what you're
thing.
saying.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
My brain was like, tempt fate. No, but that makes sense.
You're kind of, in a sense, they're sparing you, in a sense. So they are exchanging something. It is not just for anything, but you are exchanging that sort of agreement. So roll 2d6 for me, please.
Got an 11?
11. Fantastic. That is going to be a strong hit. You can bind them with a curse of your own, say what they must never do or they must obey. So I will say, even though you did lose, you do get to add a little something here for them as well, as in terms of like, this is a two-way street. Even though they have like, if this is an arrangement, it's very much 70-30 towards you, you still have a little bit of say in here. So what's the sort of agreement we're coming to with our lovely Arcana Fate?
Omera, with Tava's back turned, and Omera can't see what she's doing, but can, I think, see the purple fraying thread of Aiden's fate, I think is maybe like off to the side of the shawl, and so Omera can still see it. And that comes into view, and Omera, I think, just quietly says, "Can you prevent a life from ending prematurely?"
I can indeed, my love. I can do anything. I am fate. I am the stars itself.
Then ensure that the purple marked one, Aiden, that his life does not end prematurely, that his ends do not fray before their time.
Are we in love? Do you have the spark in your eye? Are you gambling with the heart?
It's the best way to gamble, isn't it?
I like the cut of your jib. It is a deal, as they extend their hand.
And Omera will take it, and once again, in a show of deference, will bend down and kiss it.
Such manners. Contract is confirmed. Now, before you leave, and before the fight goes on, I do have a bit of a surprise for you.
I'm
Something
sorry?
from the both of us. From the Emperor themselves.
I'm sorry, a surprise? Were you expecting us?
Well, we were not expecting you per se, but snaps their finger. You see that Carlo, which was tied up, immediately gets cut out. As you see, he begins to get up. You know, you could have freaking at least cut me out when we got here. You're a double agent. Double agents do not speak. You see Aiden go, "Excuse me?" Double agents. It is something we employ from time to time. And we are having a little bit of a surprise. But we shall let the lovely Carlo read it out. You do notice that as this is going down, Armand is leaving the place.
In
He's
what
no longer
direction is he going?
He's going, in terms of if he's in a balcony, he's going towards an exit.
Like he's leaving, or like he's coming down here leaving?
No, he's leaving. He's leaving the building.
I think as this is all happening, if I have just like a moment to do something before Carlos starts to read, Omera is going to like look to where Aiden is and like run by his side, like take his wrist and say, "We need to leave now."
Why are you going, God Killer? Don't you want to hear the good news, the word? You can leave, but you won't hear the message intended for all of Mali to hear.
If it is for all of Mali, I'm sure we will hear it no matter where we are. I think we've overstayed our welcome at this point.
Then please, leave at your leisure. Though I hope you can run very fast.
Bro, what? That's out of character. That's me. Bro, what?
Ayo!
Ayo?
With it, you proceed to... Are you running at this point, or are you kind of just, like, speed walking?
Yeah, I think I, like... hopefully Aiden is not fighting me, and if he is, then I'll stop. But, like, if he's not fighting, I've, like, grabbed Aiden by the wrist,
going.
and I'm running with him to exit. I'm actually gonna try and follow the... Armot, if I can like find where they went.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and like follow in their footsteps because they're probably not in danger. So
Yes, you follow in the footsteps. You kind of running, getting to the top. You enter into what looks like to be a long hallway. As you can see from the right side is a mirror, like almost like the vestige of the city. Very open, a window. You see Armont is at one end. You can call him out if you want to, but he's gonna just keep walking.
no, I think Omera is trying not to be noticed. Even though I mean we're running, so I assume maybe some like footsteps and whatever are. But I think Omera is trying not to be noticed because if we're noticed, Armont might like stop going wherever they're going. So we're just trying to follow to wherever the end of Armont is going.
You see he is going out toward clearing. As you see, there is sort of almost like a mini airship, kind of in terms of like almost like the rowboat equivalent is down about. You hear the Empire is going to the Carlo is going to read the Emperor's edict. You know that in your mind, an edict is a very powerful thing. This isn't just some, oh, it's a government, blah, blah, blah. Edicts are infused with the Emperor's magic. It is words manifested. For example, one of the ones they used quite long ago, or could have used, they didn't, the Edict of Fire. They had the opportunity to make Gali a living hellscape of lava and fire for eternity. And it would have been that way. It is in the sense of a supercharged curse. You hear him say, Carlo is about to read it. Prepare our cannons to fire at effective ranges. And also secure any gold that is in the vicinity, as per Anir's orders. You hear the soldiers go, Sir. You can see battalions are kind of coming out of the House of Fortune. And you hear the words in the back of your mind. It is the Emperor's will, and via the edict, that calls for the destruction of Mali and the inhabitants within it. For too long, you have tolerated the rebel forces under the Empire's care, and with that, it calls for a reinvigoration of the ground. All the gold within this place will now belong to the Empire, and simply put, all you fuckers are gonna die. As for me, I have been upgraded to a higher level. Enjoy, bastards. You can hear screaming from the inside. And you see coming out of the ground behind you, breaking through, a volcano begins to emerge. Hot, spewing lava as you see it begins like Vesuvius. Meteors come out of this thing, crashing into nearby buildings, causing fire. All the people that were having a fun diddly old time are not so much, as Mali is on fire, burning, and gold is being taken. What are you doing in this instance as your home is actively being destroyed?
Bro, what am I supposed to do?
You do notice Aiden, seeing the situation, You coming out, you see that chaos going all around. He immediately is beelining it for the weapons. You see the weapons are very much in a cart. Nothing like a whole convoy, just a simple cart for him to kind of come back and forth with. He gets on and gestures for you to come with.
I think Omera, not having anywhere else to go in this moment, does jump on, but immediately is going to ask Aiden, is there anything that we can do to stop that? And then points to the giant volcano that has erupted. Is there anything in here? Please tell me there is something in here.
He's making a decision in his head, knowing who you are. Yeah, he's gonna do that. He gotta go look in the back real quick. There should be what looks like to be maybe like a small vial of salt in it, and pull that out.
Okay, Omera will look for the vial of salt, and if they can find it, we'll pull it out.
Very easy. Looks like a bunch of like dull blue salts.
Do I
get it?
Do I recognize the salt at all?
I'm gonna need you. You get an opportunity here because of who you are. Trying to see.
Like, is this a substance I'm familiar with?
I'm trying to see if you would recognize this or not. I'm gonna do a straight luck check here. I'm not making anything. I will give the same rules before. Even you get it, odd you don't. So please roll 2d6s for me.
Okay, I don't like the way you're being all gleeful about this.
Don't just see if you figure what this out.
I got a
Please
9.
tell me. Got 9. You don't know what it is. Maybe it's magic of some sort that he knows.
Okay, Omera, I think, confused, will hold this vial of salt and say, what do I do with this?
Let me get it.
What do you mean?
I know what I'm doing. Can I please get it?
Oh, okay.
The more time you talk, the more people die.
Okay, and Omera will hand over the salt to Aiden.
Fantastic. You see, puts it in his hands, crushes it, and then blows it in your direction. As that happens, you start to feel your body go tense, and not in a sense paralyzed, but in terms of like you kind of lose function for the moment as you kind of go limp in the back. And he looks at you. I'm sorry, but I know what you want to do, but this has to get to the people.
Can I still speak?
You can still speak, yes, but he's just very much...
Aiden, what did you do?
You're not going to be able to move. You're not going to be able to help. And I'm saving you from yourself in this moment.
Aiden, undo this immediately.
No. We have worked too hard and too long, and I'm not about to risk all of this to save a couple people when there are thousands who need this.
There are more than a couple people on this island, in this archipelago. Aiden, it is more than a couple people that will be hurt if we don't stop the volcano from going off.
It's already off. It's an emperor's edict. It's a curse. You need decades to figure out what it even is.
There has to be a way. There
is no
has
way.
to
That's
be
the
a
thing.
way.
There is not a way. You see that somebody is trying to come on. You see that he has to push them away and begins to ride off. Still trying to talk with you.
Do I have even a teeny smidgen of control over my body?
You got your arm, but it's very much like in terms of like if you got shots in your arms, you don't have like very much. You can't go anywhere, but you do have your arms.
I limp fall off of the cart.
Fantastic. You limp fall off of the cart as you just go your body. You see he looks back, stops, but as you see one of the nearby volcanoes goes onto the side, he looks at you, holds it in his eyes, and rides off into the nearby mountains.
As I am left alone in this, on the ground, on the dirt, in the grass, surrounded by the falling lava all around, Omera is going to close their eyes and is going to do the only thing that they have ever known to do, that they have ever thought to do. Omera's going to pray for guidance. Importantly, though, that this prayer is shaky. It is uncertain. There is not the same faith behind it in the way that Omera has used to pray in the past, being unsure of whether the Archons as a whole are cruel or whether it is individual ones. They don't know. And all Omera can hope for in this moment is that one of them, please, one of them has mercy. And specifically, Omera is going to pray to Sasbis, the pragmatic, the Archon of time and knowledge, for aid in this moment, either for time or for knowledge or for both, something, anything, to help them understand what they can do to save the people of their hometown.
You pray. I would say you praying for guidance. You pray for Sabbath. You pray for time. You pray for all of that. But something comes down that is not this god of time, but rather hits it on the ground like a speeding missile, as you see they're very much in that sort of lock statue position before they get up. You see that they, hammer in hand, hit it on the ground as they create a cavern which sinks this volcano on the ground. They buy Mali time. They don't necessarily save it. But as that happens, they turn around. You see what looks like to be armor similar to that of maybe of Saturnian, glowing in almost that forged heat of armor that is just off the press. Their cape flowing with a smoke behind it. As they slowly, as their feet hit the ground, it is almost like they allow themselves. Sinks below as they look up to you. Who answers is surprising. You see Daros, Archon of Vala and the Forge, is here. As he just looks at you, I'm very surprised. And who might you be?
Omera, though you are not the one that I was expecting to answer, if anyone at all.
Let's just say I have a vested interest in you, Omera.
What interest?
I don't want to give it away. But for now, I bought your city some time, though it is going to be destroyed. But at least its people will live. Maybe that will fuel you a little bit.
Please. And Omera is like still paralyzed, like basically paralyzed, like limp on the ground, and looking up at this god. Please, please help the people of Mali escape. Find other places to go, help them board their ships. They cannot be allowed to just disappear.
It's always funny with you mortals. You think you got... If you see an Archon, you make demands. I like that about you. You got spunk, kid.
I only ask for that which you and all the other Archons have promised us. Mercy.
Times change. You see, he snaps his finger, and you see from the lava beginning to form ever so slightly what looks like to be a metal cart made out of steel cast iron, and slowly you be seen to see a horse begin to form from like the back to the front, made completely out of the same metal, humming to life. You, citizen. He points to just a random family that's there. How about you go help this healer here up this cart? Make your way up the mountains. I highly suggest you tell anybody that can still walk. Don't go for the harbor, go for the mountains. It's gonna be hard, but I think your valor will win the day. You see, they begin to it's a fucking wagon. They go and begin to pick you up, put you in the back of it. Before they leave, you see Daros look over to the side. How are we feeling right now? Curious.
Confused and scared, but determined that we will save as many people as we can, despite the cruelty of the Archons.
You see, there's a mixed bag of emotions on his face. Not the answer I wanted to hear, but not completely bad. Get yourself to Galilee. That's where your boyfriend's going. They're gonna need a god killer.
And Omera is so confused by everything that is being stated to them right now by Daros, and I think that confusion is those are not questions that they have time to really think about and to sift through and work through and answer right now. There are far more pressing matters at the moment, and so Omera allows that confusion to wash over them, and I think tucks those questions into the back of her mind to be asked again later. Because Ray can always pray to the gods, can always try to commune with them, and so they will allow this family to cart them away in the opposite direction, up the mountains, and will, I think, just look off at Daros for as long as Daros remains.
You see, he begins to melt down, and as you go off into the mountains, the camera goes to one last scene without you in it. Yakin is in the Senate, trapped within the building, as fire is raving around. They barely have enough breath to stop as they're sort of... They're trapped. They're gonna die here. You can see they are making their peace with the gods above until they hear a piece of furniture is thrown to the side. You see, you're gonna get some... Who's there? Don't worry, kid. It's deliverance. And that is where we shall end the episode for
Hello?
today.
No, you can't do that. I need to know. Who is that?
I'm doing it right now.
Are they here to save him or to kill him?
We'll find out.
Ah!
With that, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this lovely episode of Forsaken, a Dance of Gold. With that, we're going to be doing our plugs in a bit of reverse order here. So, first and foremost, God Killer, I'm not doing them sweet, sweet plugs for the audience here.
Hello everyone, my name is Hamna, I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer and producer. You can find me all over the internet at Lilith TTRPG. If I have an account on a social media thing, that is the handle that I use. Right now, the other show that I am on that is airing is The Ties That Bind, which is a podcast over on Secret Nerd Podcast. where we play the corrupted. I believe we are just over halfway at this point, so you still have time to catch up if you'd like. If you'd like to see some gay, dramatic yearning in the apocalypse, it's a good time. I will pass it over to Chris.
Hello, I have been your humble god and savior, true protagonist of this episode. You could find me on the Twitters while it's still alive at VO_Colon, that's COLON. In terms of what I'm doing, I have this show every Thursday for a certain amount of weeks left here that we have. But also over on Bad House RPG, I am doing GMing another show of an all Latin Werewolf the Apocalypse. They all died last episode, so if you want to see how that's going to turn out with the next 7 episodes in that series, come tune in on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. same time. With all of that in mind, we hope you had a lovely time with us today, and we can't wait to see you next week for another thrilling episode of Forsaken. Bye-bye, everyone.